প্রিস্টন আলফা ম্যানেজমেন্টের ফাউন্ডার এবং সিইও তিনি। আমেরিকান পুঁজিবাজারে যিনি স্বনামে তার কাজের জন্য সর্বজন স্বীকৃত। সাক্ষাৎকারটি তৈরি করেছেন আশরাফুল হাসান বুলবুল।
শাকিল আহমেদ আমেরিকার স্টক মার্কেটে সিক্রেট জিনিয়াস হিসেবে পরিচিত বাঙালি। যুক্তরাষ্ট্রের নিউ জার্সির প্রিন্সটনে বসবাসকারী এই বাংলাদেশি নিজের যোগ্যতা বলে সফলতার শীর্ষে পৌঁছেছেন। তিনি বলেন, সফল মানুষ হিসেবে প্রতিষ্ঠিত হতে হলে পরিশ্রম ও চেষ্টার কোনো বিকল্প নেই, কোনো নির্দিষ্ট মাপকাঠিও নেই। সাধারণ মানুষের চেয়ে অনেক ঊর্ধ্বে স্বপ্ন দেখেন তিনি।
So I've been asked several times what it takes to succeed in corporate America. And there's no standard formula that you can apply that will always work, that is guaranteed to enable success. But there are a few things that I think are very important. And the first of these that I always say, and people are surprised by this, the first of these is that to succeed, you have to want it. And what do I mean by that? It sounds very obvious. No, obviously everybody wants it. It's not that obvious. It's not that obvious for a very simple reason. If you look at who is successful in corporate America, and you look at all the different ethnic groups that have done well, and you compare, for example, the Indians against the Bangladeshis, the Indians have done extremely well, and various other ethnic groups have done extremely well, and Bangladeshis, while doing well, have not risen to the very top level, or it's rare to see that. How many Bangladeshis are in corporate boardrooms or are CEOs of big corporations? It's very rare to find that. And so the question is why, right? Why is it that the Indians are finding success in that, but we're not? And I come back to my point. You have to want it. And that applies in the following way. What is the Bangladeshi dream, right? The Bangladeshi dream is you're always told when you're young, you will work hard, you will study hard, you will get into the best colleges, you will do extremely well there, and then you'll get a very good job at a big company. All that is great, but what we lack is the next step, right? Once we get there, we sort of settle into our comfort zone. We have many successful Bangladeshi professionals that are doctors, that are engineers, that are computer scientists, that work in many different companies, but they can't make that last step from those professional positions into the corporate boardroom level, right? And the reason for that is because we're not taught to do that, right? Since we're young, we're always told, keep your head down, don't speak too much, work very hard, and you will get success. And so when we reach that level of success, we finally feel like, okay, I've achieved everything I needed to do, and I can settle in and be comfortable. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's a perfectly respectable career path. But then you shouldn't be asking me, how do you get to the top level, right? How do you become successful in corporate America? In order to do that, you need to make that extra leap. And that's why I say you have to want it. You have to step outside of your comfort zone. You have to put your head up high, stop being quiet, and you actually have to participate in a lot of these internal, corporate politics and all these things. You have to get your hands dirty and you have to reach for that level, because without that, it's not going to happen.
মার্কিন মূলধারায় শুধু বাঙালি হিসেবে নয়, একজন মানুষ হিসেবে আমাদের সকলের স্বপ্নের জায়গায় বাস করেন।
Is that we are steeply sort of ingrained in this whole notion that there are only certain acceptable professions, right? So when you are being raised, typically in a Bangladeshi family, you're given three options, right? You can become a doctor, you can become an engineer, and maybe, and I include computer science in that category, and maybe if you have a very liberal family, they might yield to you becoming a lawyer. But the world beyond that doesn't exist, right? It's not an option. And the truth is, you have to have an open mind. I don't have any problem with people studying those subjects. I am a computer scientist myself. I even have a PhD in computer science, but I didn't stay in the field, right? You can build a toolbox of various kinds of skills, but if you really want to succeed, you have to have a very open mind and look for where the opportunities are. You have to have a passion for it. And in my own case, that happened to be in finance, but it can be in anything, right? And so I always tell kids, and I tell parents, and they don't like hearing this, that you have to broaden your mind, right? You have to open yourself up to to studying beyond just these three zones. And even if you do study these three subject areas, you have to basically reach beyond that level. And then the final thing I will say is that we're always taught that you have to be book smart, right? So you study, you focus on your subject areas, and your success is measured by how well you do in those subjects. But one thing that's never stressed is communication, right? Now I'm speaking to the media, so I'm kind of preaching to the choir here. But if you want to succeed in corporate America, it works very differently than many other economies, like in Bangladesh or many of the other Asian economies where things are a bit more hierarchical. Here, it's all about communication. So you have to invest. You have to learn how to communicate. You have to learn how to communicate with others within your circle, your professional circle. But you have to learn how to communicate not only your ideas, but you have to learn how to communicate in meetings and how to stand out. And I think that's extremely important. And it's an aspect of career building that I think is ignored dramatically in our culture. So those are my few words of advice. I have many more, but we can talk about those another time. Thank you.
এই সাথে শেষ করব টিভিএন 24 প্রাইম টাইম নিউজ।